7:35. The government has abandoned Labour's controversial plan for a so-called bin tax, which would have charged households in England for the amount of rubbish they threw away. Instead, ministers want councils in England to reward people for recycling more waste. Charging, known as pay-as-you-throw, is being considered in Wales. There are no plans for it in Scotland and Northern Ireland. Our correspondent Ben Gagan has more details.
This is rubbish which wins rewards. In Windsor and Maidenhead, blue recycling wheelie bins are barcoded and weighed. The council records how much rubbish you throw out. The more you recycle, the more points you win. They've been running this pilot scheme since last year. The result, a big increase in rubbish that can be used again.
Benefits have been great. They've increased our recycling by 35%. We've put a lot of money back into the local economy, and we've managed to increase the recycling rates massively across the borough. So it's been a win for our residents, it's been a win for our council, and it's been a win for local business.
The last government wanted to penalise householders with fines if they didn't recycle enough. But the so-called bin tax idea has been dumped by the new coalition. The fear was the scheme would lead to an increase in fly tipping, or people might end up burning their rubbish in their back gardens. This scheme is designed to give people an incentive to recycle. Once they've clocked up enough points from their rubbish, they can exchange them for vouchers, which they can use in their high street shops. In the last 6 months, the people of Windsor have already clocked up 6 million points.
This is exactly the kind of scheme that we want to see rolled out nationally, and this is exactly the kind of go-ahead council that should be taking the lead. But it's going to be up to local authorities. All we're going to be doing is ensuring that we don't lay upon them a penalising regime that treats the public like they are the enemy.
The government says incentives like this work better than fines or taxes. The ultimate aim is to reduce the amount of waste that ends up in landfill. Ben Gagan, BBC News.
Well, let's discuss this in a bit more detail. We can speak to Jimmy Insworth. He's in Liverpool. He's in charge of waste and environmental services at Halton Borough Council. In the studio with me, Matthew Fillmore, a keen recycler who lives in Maidenhead. Thank you both. Jimmy Insworth, if I can start with you. I think you started this back in October last year. And has the incentive rather than the punishment route worked?
Absolutely. The scheme has proved very successful, both in terms of the number of people that are now recycling in the pilot areas, and also in terms of the level of recyclable materials collected in those pilot areas. So we're very, very pleased both with the scheme and the public reaction in Halton.
So the amounts are being increased in terms of the recycling you're doing. And was there initial scepticism?
Not from Halton Borough Council. We'd seen how successful the scheme had been in the US, where it's delivered to over 1 million residents. We saw the opportunity to add the incentive scheme into Halton to encourage residents to use the multi-material curbside recycling services we had here. So certainly no doubt from our point of view.
Matthew, what's the main benefit as far as you're concerned?
Well, from my point of view, I think actually the main benefit is the fact that it's mixed recycling. You know, we've had years of trying to separate bits of recycling in and out. I've had occasions where my bin's been, recycling is refused to be collected because I put something wrong in it. Now, I'm not sure I knew what was wrong and what I put in it, but it's been refused to be collected, and then it builds up, and that sort of is negative, and you don't want to recycle if you're getting that.
And how many bins did you have at one time? Because I mean, some people have got 8 or 9 bins, haven't they?
Well, my understanding around the country is that there's different amounts, and some have a large number of bins. From our area, we only ever have the 3, the main waste recycling, and then sort of your paper recycling bin and your plastics and your glass. So we've only reduced that down by 1 to 2 bins. But I do find that the larger mixed recycling bin makes it much, much easier for me to recycle.
Because you could just chuck everything in.
Exactly. I don't have to think about it. If it's got a recycling tag on it, it goes to the side. At the end of the day, put it all in the bin. Don't worry about it. It goes away.
Jimmy, it's also cheaper, isn't it, for the council?
Well, it is. I mean, what Halton Council did was it wanted to make recycling easier for its residents, and it started rolling out recycling bins to residents in 2007. The bin service was a lot more easily and accessible for people there. Now, obviously, the more we recycle, the less waste we send to landfill, and therefore the council's bill for dealing with waste is reduced, yes.
I wonder, though, that because recycling has been so prevalent in terms of the sort of national psyche, hasn't it, for the last 5-10 years, do you think people need this incentive? Wouldn't they just do this anyway? I mean, the voucher scheme, is that absolutely necessary?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, of course, some people will recycle, and others need more encouragement to do so. We see this as one certainly successful and positive aim to either encourage more people to recycle, and even those people that do recycle currently, we want them to recycle more. So we see this as a good incentive, and to be able to reward them for doing so is, makes it a win-win for everybody, as you've heard.
Matthew, would you recycle if you didn't have these vouchers? And just how good are these prizes?
I think I would, and I think that, as I said before, the benefit is the fact that it's mixed recycling. In terms of the rewards, it's very similar to sort of a soft drink promotion, where if you gather tokens, you get discounts while spending money.
So what have you had already? What have you?
Well, from my point of view, I haven't had anything. I've been in the scheme since about September time, and I've stored up the vouchers. I could have had vouchers which would have got me £5 off when I spend £35. One of the offers is that if I am going to buy a holiday worth over £5,000, a local holiday let.
How much would you get off of that?
I get about 5% off, which is great, but I haven't got £5,000 for a holiday. So the rewards are slightly... They're difficult for me to think that actually they relate to me. I can give money to charity using it, and that's what I've been preferring to do with the vouchers, which is great. I've got no issue with that at all. But to give you an idea of 9 months of recycling, this has given me, I can use my tokens now to get about £5 off a cinema voucher.
Okay, what about getting money off your council tax? Would that be an incentive?
I have thought about that. I thought, yes, it would be, for me, an incentive having money off council tax from doing that. Having said that, whether that would then be seen by other people as actually they're paying more on their council tax if they don't, that's the difficulty. But for me, yeah, I would find seeing it like money off on council tax would be a direct benefit to me.
What about that thought, Jimmy Insworth?
Well, I think the important thing to remember is that the rewards are not actually provided by the local authority. The rewards are provided by reward partners who offer the incentives and the vouchers for redemption. I think what I would say on council tax levels is, of course, the more we recycle, the more the council's bill for dealing with waste is reduced, and that would have a positive impact on the council tax levels.
Okay, all right. Jimmy Insworth and Matthew Fillmore, thank you both very much. Both of you seem to be very convinced by this scheme.